we've got a society where people flush and their problems are done.
The back of their mind, they're like, you just pump poop. And you're like, no, it's way cooler than that. I do really interesting stuff.
My brother-in-law calls me the corn counter.
Every single drop of the worst product known to man comes to this plant. It is horrible. And what we make out of it is clean water.
Being covered in poop definitely bonds people together.
Remember your worst possible day? That's our best.
Shut it off. We have a blockage in the drain line.
The gremlins are back.
Hey, this is David, and welcome to The Outfall. What you just heard is from the trailer for Unless Something Goes Terribly Wrong, an award-winning documentary filmed inside the East End Wastewater Treatment Facility in Portland, Maine. Two filmmakers spent years embedded with a crew that keeps that city running, and they came out with something nobody expected, a comedy. Their words, not mine. They call it a buddy comedy about poop. Since its premiere, it's taken home the Audience Award at the Camden International Film Festival. But before we go any further, there are two things you need to know. First, you cannot stream this film. It's not on Netflix, it's not on HBO, it's not for rent anywhere. And that's on purpose. You'll hear why in this episode. Second, stick around to the end because we have an announcement about the one way you will be able to see it on a big screen right here in South Carolina this September. That's all I'm saying for now. So, all credit for this episode goes to Jenny Kraft, journal editor for the South Carolina Water Associations. She interviewed the film's co-director and cinematographer, Alex Wolf-Lewis, for a feature article. We're going to let her take it from here.
Thanks, David. Great to be here. So I talked to Alex earlier this year. I had lots of questions, starting with what it's like to spend years making this incredible film about something no one thinks about, and then watch a whole theater of people rise to their feet.
In September of 2025, we world premiered at the Camden International Film Festival in Maine. And it's a great kind of international documentary film festival. We ended up taking home the Audience Award, which came with a $10,000 prize. So that certainly helped. Such a beautiful moment because obviously the film is about these guys not getting the time of day, the industry kind of not getting the time of day. And then next thing you know, we're bit by bit in front of maybe 400 or 500 people at this big old opera house. And after the film, the guys get on stage and they get a full standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
And I was getting goosebumps because it's like the year we filmed was maybe the most difficult year for the Portland Water District in kind of recent memory. Everything was sort of failing for whatever reason in 1 year. They got to feel recognized. It's like been a magical rollout. And now that we've been doing so many screenings around Maine, some of the wastewater guys are getting recognized at the supermarket. And so the joke is like, oh, they're going to have to start wearing sunglasses or saying, sorry, no photos, please. But I think the perception of them now is really like, wow, that guy's like taking care of me. He's a hometown hero.
So how does someone end up making a buddy comedy inside a wastewater plant? For Alex and his co-director, who also happens to be his wife, it started with a sold-out Valentine's Day tour and a very unusual birthday present.
She is obsessed with infrastructure. I think I may have told the story. And for Valentine's Day, there's a plant in Brooklyn called the New Concrete Plant. And every year they have a Valentine's Day tour and it would sell out every year. So I wasn't able to take her and she was heartbroken. So when we moved to Maine for her birthday, I reached out to the local plant. They offered tours throughout the warm months. Took her, we met Dustin, and I think pretty quickly realized there was a magical story. And I always say this, but like not in a weird way. We just kind of fell in love with the whole world instantly. It had everything we could need in a documentary, right? It had great characters, a built-in story where like things were going to happen. And then high stakes, without wastewater treatment, people die, cities can't exist. And then it had the added bonus that nobody seems to know anything about wastewater, except if something fails, which is honestly pretty infrequently. And I'm surprised by that, given what I know now about the state of infrastructure.
Were they receptive to this? Like when you came to them with the idea?
It took a lot of convincing. And I think it kind of goes back to wastewater and water's sort of relationship to the media. It's usually negative. It's usually kind of reactive. to something bad happening. And we're asking these guys to sort of open up their hearts to us, open up their lives, open up kind of in the worst moments when things aren't working. And so I think that just took a lot of time and trust, sort of like any relationship. And it's really hard to explain to somebody what it means to be in a documentary. It's kind of like it's a big commitment. It's kind of like through the ups and downs and, through sickness and then health, it's like, I'm going to show up. And so I think, again, they took a really big leap of faith in letting us in.
Alex and Caitlin aren't water people. They came into this industry as complete outsiders. So I asked what surprised him about the people who do this work. And his answer includes my favorite observation in the whole interview, that wastewater professionals might be a little too good at their jobs. I'll let him explain.
I think I'm surprised that no matter who I meet in wastewater, no matter where they are, no matter where they work, that they're all just so incredibly hardworking, smart, funny, just like internally motivated, the best group of people I've ever met. And I don't know why they wouldn't want to get out there and shout from the rooftops what they do, but I think it's because they just get so much, they're so internally motivated. They just get to do their own, they do their job. They're proud of that job and that's all they need. I'm surprised by how eclectic the background of people that work in wastewater is, and that nobody seems to have this like a direct path to it. But once they're in it, most people like almost never leave, and then like they love it. So it's like a real like gold mine sifting process of sort of people finding it and then loving it, staying, and then just becoming like completely dedicated and obsessed with their jobs. I didn't know how bad the kind of national state of infrastructure was. I think we had an idea, but didn't know how far reaching it was. And I think maybe the final thing is, I think wastewater people are too good at their jobs because they're able to act as a Band-Aid to all this sort of problems that exist in the industry. And if they weren't as good as their jobs, things would fail maybe quicker, and then there'd be more funding, but they're just too good. And so they're kind of like keeping things running despite all the challenges they face.
That idea stayed with me. Wastewater professionals may be so good at holding everything together that the rest of us never see how fragile the system really is. But here's the question most people ask when they hear about this film. Why can't I just stream it? I asked Alex exactly that, and his answer is one of the best explanations I've heard about what it takes to make an independent film. It also comes with a parallel to wastewater that I think you'll appreciate.
It's funny, there's like a lot of overlap between wastewater and independent film. It's this thing we all value, right? Clean water and entertainment. And I think now, because of the way the world is, people just expect a lot of things to be free, but there's a lot of work, many people behind the scenes over many years coming together to make a film like this. And, you wouldn't know it if you just sort of don't get to peek behind the curtain. And so I would say, it's making a movie is maybe like 10% making the movie, and the rest of it is like fundraising and applying to grants, and maybe 10% is too low. But talking to people about your film, getting people on board, it's like there's so much around making the film. So it reminds me a little bit of wastewater too. The industry as a whole is also going through this kind of period of consolidation. So there's not as many avenues to sell your film, and the amount of money people are getting from like a Netflix, a Hulu is going down. The bubble has kind of burst, but there remains this great avenue, and it's kind of like turning the film into an event where people can come watch it together, maybe host a speaking panel of some sort. That's one of like the remaining ways for independent filmmakers to actually make their money back on the film, because, we worked on the film for years for like almost nothing. And so it's also a great kind of grassroots campaign of getting the film directly to the people that want to see the film, which in this case is like the wastewater industry.
As we were wrapping up, I asked Alex what he hopes to accomplish through this film. He touched on some big picture ambitions, policy, funding, workforce, but his real hope is a lot simpler than that.
It's funny because I think the bar in wastewater is so low. It's like we have these kind of higher level aspirations of maybe being able to move things on a policy level, or maybe help get more funding or bring more people into the industry. But on a very basic level, it's just letting people know that wastewater exists, that this infrastructure exists, and just sort of like raising awareness, which I think it's doing slowly, bit by bit.
Raising awareness bit by bit. I love it. Which brings us to the announcement David promised you at the top of the show.
Jenny, thank you so much. So here it is. This September, we are bringing Unless Something Goes Terribly Wrong to Clemson University. And guess what? You are invited. It's going to be in the McKissick Theater at the Hendrick Student Center on Clemson's campus on Friday, September 4th at 1 p.m. Remember what you heard earlier. This film is not streaming anywhere. Screenings like this one are the only way to see it. And honestly, it's the best way. This is a film about community, and it plays best in a room full of people. And it gets better. After the screening, we'll have a live Q&A with Alex Wolf-Lewis, the co-director Jenny just talked to. Whether you work in the water industry, whether you're a student thinking about where a career might take you, or whether you've simply never once thought about what happens after you flush, this event is for you. The film runs 73 minutes, and with the Q&A, the whole evening will be under 2 hours. So mark your calendar and come see why hundreds of people in Maine gave their wastewater crew a standing ovation. We'll see you in September. Details are in the show notes. Thanks for listening to The Outfall.